Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Pokemon Pocket video for you. So for this one, we are going to be covering our 5-game win streak from the latest Ribbon event. Ribbon, Metal, whatever you want to call them. So our first opponent, as you can see, has a bit of a question mark for their deck because they were actually AFK and didn't end up battling at all. So we got a little bit of a freebie for our first win. A little bit lucky in that regard. I decided to bring my Mewtwo deck. This was, I think, my 5th attempt at the run here. I tried with Gyarados a couple of times, then decided to switch over to Mewtwo after pulling, especially this new Immersive art version. So I was very, very satisfied with that. Anyway, for our build, we're on 2 Mewtwo EX, 1 Mew EX, 2 Ralts, 2 Kirlia, 2 Gardevoir, 2 Pokeball, 2 Mythical Slab, 2 Professor's Research, 1 Blue, 1 Sabrina, 2 Leaf, 1 Giovanni. I remember a commenter suggesting Blue, and I decided to go ahead and give it a try for this event here. So yeah, as you can see, they're just going to ultimately end up not even playing their first Pokemon. Nice to get a free win there. Don't know why Mew was the victory card, but we'll take it. Why not? One thing about this build is that it's a little bit supporter heavy. That wasn't a huge issue for me in my testing so far, nor in this event run, but I could see it potentially being an issue. Our next opponent's going to be on Greninja. I think they actually already have the medal from this event too, but I don't really care about that kind of thing. I know a lot of people, like, God, especially I've seen on the subreddit, people are like, "Grr, if you gatekeep, you're the worst person on the planet." And it's just like, I don't really care. You know, if I see, you know, somebody with the medal already playing in the event, it doesn't really particularly tilt me. Our opponent's going to be on a Greninja deck. Not like Gyarados with Greninja, but Greninja is more of the focus. I think we also see a Mew from them in this game. But I think Greninja is a really, really good aggro deck. Definitely not something to be slept on for sure. So we get to Pokeball for Mew. I decided to Pokeball and then Prof's Research and then Mythical Slab. But maybe I should have done Mythical Slab first. The thought process was that I wanted to Prof's Research before the Slab to try to get some trainers out of the deck. But I also want a Pokeball before the Prof's Research. But then the Pokeball kind of diminishes the Prof's Research. Our opponent's on Dark Energy as well, which is a little bit surprising. I am a little curious to know why they're on Dark specifically, because I don't think we see any Dark Pokemon from them. Anyway, I'm going to play my other Prof's Research here. Just go ahead and get that out of the way, drawing Blue and Pokeball. We can use the Pokeball to grab Mew, which is, I think, the last basic in our deck. Or we might have one more Ralts in there, too. Alright, so we'll definitely get Mew and our other Mewtwo on the board. We can also evolve our Ralts into Kirlia. We've got a Gardevoir in hand. This is a fantastic setup we got going on here. It's a little bit unfortunate that we went first. That actually matters a lot for Mewtwo specifically, because if you go second, then you can start side driving by turn 4. But if you go first, you have to wait until turn... not even turn 5, because this is turn 3. Turn 5, you'll have 3 energy. You have to wait until turn 7 to start side driving, assuming you have 1 Gardevoir. Which is obviously that's a huge difference, right? And how quickly you're able to set up. There's our second Ralts. Alright, I'll attach another energy here. And we'll Psy Shadow. Yeah, again, this is the problem with going first with Mewtwo, is that you're only able to have 3 energy by your second attacking turn. Yeah, so I decided to Blue here, just to kind of play my supporter for the turn. Also, I don't think there's any particular interaction where I really, like, need to watch out for Blue. Blue, I guess, though, is kind of like Giovanni, where you do kind of want to save it for when you really need it. So, like, if they evolve into Greninja here, and if they had another Water Energy, they could have Mist-Slashed for a total of 80 damage. Yeah, it would have been a total of 80 damage. I didn't need a Blue here, especially if I had paid attention to their energy. I could have definitely saved that for sure. I'm a little bit worried about this Mew, because genome hacking can just copy the Psy Drive. And they're not on Psychic Energy, so they won't have any drawback for it, if I remember correctly of how that works. But at the same time, the genome hacking definitely takes a little bit of setup. They're going to use the Sabrina here. I have Leaf in hand, so it doesn't particularly matter. But I can also just save the Leaf, bring in Mew, and then just pay Mew's 1 retreat cost, and that's also completely fine. Yeah, Giovanni doesn't do enough here. Like, Psychic Sphere plus Giovanni is 60, this Greninja is at 70, so we are going to have to side drive it, but that's also not that big of a deal either, because we can then set up a side drive on the follow-up turn to one-shot the Mew on the follow-up turn as well. So we're looking pretty good here. Yeah, there's a nice little... it's a nice... what's the word I'm looking for? A sense of inevitability of our victory here. It's something that you get with slower-paced card games like this in Celestial that you don't get a lot of in Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel is the main game I play on my main channel, for those who might not be aware. But in Master Duel, and I actually do kind of like this about Yu-Gi-Oh! Too, that I can like shift on a dime. But at the same time, I do appreciate in slower-paced card games like this where you can very easily plan like 2, even 3 turns out pretty reliably, right? So there we go. We are taking our second dub, our first real dub there. I think I forgot to thank the AFK opponent, which is oops on my part. Sometimes I'm just so eager to click through to the next game that I forget to click thanks. That's another thing I've noticed on like the subreddit is people are they really care if they don't get thanked. And it's like, dude, it's just like a ticket. Calm down. Like, I don't know. Anyway. Finally losing a coin flip here. Really weird to say that again coming from Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Getting to lead with Mew. This hand looks pretty good. I like opening Pokeball and Professor's Research. We're against another Greninja deck, actually. Greninja, I think I had it at like the middle of Tier 2 on my latest tier list. I think it's a pretty good deck. We'll have to see what other kind of water support comes in Space-Time Smackdown. Alright, so once again, we have Pokeball, Slab, and Prof's Research in our opening hand. That's pretty lucky, I will definitely admit. I think here was such a trainer-heavy hand, I maybe should have used the Slab first. Yeah, because I just drew 2 Pokemon off the Prof's Research. But don't worry, never punished. We just find Gardevoir off Slab anyway. That's ridiculous. Yeah, Slab is an interesting card as well to consider in a deck like this. I think it's worth playing even with a relatively low Psychic Pokemon count. I saw a Gengar deck once that topped a tournament that was like... It was like 14 Psychic Pokemon, 2 Slab, 2 Pokeball, 2 Prof's Research. I was like, that'll definitely guarantee you get your hits for sure. Alright, so they're evolving into Frogadier and going after my Mew. Mew is nice in this deck because it's so flexible. Like, often I like to prefer to open it and then I can kind of have it in the active slot while I'm setting up my Mewtwo/Gardevoir line. Love to draw the Curlia here, of course, and then Psyshotting. Psyshot for 20 is so good. I feel like some people underestimate these Pokemon EX that have 2 attacks and one of them is a low-powered 1 energy attack. That super matters. Just having the option to go aggro really matters here. Oh, but speaking of Mew, I was about to touch on this and I got a little sidetracked, but yeah, I mentioned before that I feel like this deck might have like 1 too many supporters. I'm actually kind of considering cutting the blue and playing a second Mew. That way we can open it a little bit more often, having the active slot. We can hit off Slab a little bit more often. And the blue is nice, but I think it's kind of niche in the scenarios where it really shines. But I don't think it's a bad card by any means. I think blue is more of a tournament card, right? Like if I was taking Mewtwo to a tournament, I would probably consider blue a little bit more than playing it in like an event or just like regular, I guess, ladder, even though there isn't really one. I've kind of been thinking about checking out pocket tournaments lately, but it's more of a time issue than anything else, just not having the time, you know? So here I'm kind of debating if I want to like build up the Mew at all or put an energy on it, and decide not to. I'm just going to go into my Mewtwo that hasn't been damaged. So they used Water Shuriken once on the Mewtwo that's got an energy, and I'm like, you know what, that's fine. I'll just build up this Mewtwo that's undamaged, because there's really no difference for me at this point. I'm going to be able to Psychic Sphere and Side Drive in the same time span no matter which of these Mewtwo's I send out, so... Throwing out the blue because I have a not very trainer heavy, but a trainer heavy enough hand here. I might need to play Leaf or Giovanni sometime soon. Yeah, Miss Slash plus Shuriken again is 80, would leave me at 70. That's completely fine. Actually, would leave me at 80 here. Which wouldn't be enough to survive, getting 2-shot by Miss Slash plus Shuriken. Okay, here they're actually going to use Leaf to retreat, which I was a little surprised by. I kind of thought they were going to Miss Slash plus Shuriken, and then next turn try to evolve this Frogadier into a second Greninja, and then try to follow up KO the Mewtwo that way. But maybe they just don't have the second Greninja in hand. Either way, I'm definitely more than okay with taking out this. Because I remember even thinking at the start of their turn, or when they evolved into Frogadier, I kind of remember thinking, I wish I had Sabrina in hand to take out that Frogadier before it can evolve into a Greninja. But then they kind of just swapped it in anyway, and I'm like, oh, well, yeah, okay, that works too. I'll definitely side drive here, just to be able to one-shot it. Because I do not want them to evolve into Greninja next turn. And I feel like that was a very huge swing for me in this game. Like, even though it was the first point, and my opponent's deck doesn't really have... They haven't played any, at least, in EXs yet. Yeah, I definitely think that was still a pretty huge swing for them to not be able to go into the second Greninja. Which, if they do have a second one in hand, I think they fumbled that a little bit, personally. Yeah, or maybe their hand just really wasn't that great, because they don't, Okay, yeah, they can KO the Mew, but that's fine. Like, it'll give them 2 points, but that doesn't matter anymore. Like, even if they did have another basic to just throw on the bench, it still wouldn't really matter that much. Because I could, like, retreat out my Mewtwo for free even with the Leaf, swap in my other Mewtwo with 130, and then attach a couple of energies, Psychic Sphere, and be able to side drive on the follow-up turn. But here I'm just going to BM side drive. Oh, my little notification for a pack came up there too. That's what that is. But yeah, I'm just going to BM side drive the Greninja there. Why not? I know, I'm probably being the exact kind of Mewtwo player that people complain about, but oh, whatever. It was a couple more clicks. It wasn't that big of a deal. Okay. Now, let's go into our next game here. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to mention this up top, but this footage is completely unedited. The gameplay is. So, you're seeing it all in real time. No breaks or anything. So, you know it's all the same run here. Anyway. Pikachu EX. Our next opponent's on Pikachu. Which is a little bit worrying because this is not a great matchup for Mewtwo at all. Mewtwo is a combo build-up deck. Pikachu is an aggro deck, and aggro is generally favored in that matchup. Because they can often set up before the combo deck can get going. Now here, I not only opened Mewtwo and Ralts, but also Gardevoir double Profs Research. That's pretty promising to be able to set up at a really reasonable rate. Also going second, as always, ever huge for Mewtwo. But in this matchup, it's so important to lose the coin flip. I guess if you view Tails as losing inherently. But yeah, I really need this to go well here because, like I said, not favored at all here. I see Pikachu and Electra. The Pikachu makes me think they're on a Lieutenant Surge build because that's really the only one you would want to play Raichu in. Alright, so Pokeball finds the other Mewtwo. Profs Research for Pokeball and Giovanni. Pokeball for Ralts. I'll play the second Ralts here. I thought about it for a moment, but I was like, you know what? If they somehow manage to, like, Sabrina in one of these Ralts and Circle Circuit it, and then I draw a Curlia on the next turn, I'm going to be really sad. So in this scenario, I think it's fine to play the second Ralts. I wouldn't always do that, but in this scenario, I will. A lot of people think this game is, like, well, I guess they say the same about Yu-Gi-Oh! I was going to say that it's, like, too luck-based, that, like, skill doesn't matter at all. Skill and decision-making should go without saying 100% matter in this, like they do every single card game. A lot of people, I think, really tend to focus on the RNG aspect. I don't know, it's just this fascination I've seen with people focusing on what they can't control instead of what they can. Like, instead of choosing to focus on improving and playing better, they'd rather complain about the coin flips. I don't know, it's just a thing I notice. But again, that's true of other card games too. Anyway. Managed to draw the Kirlia off that professor's research, which was 100% needed. Oh my goodness. If we had not drawn that there, that would have been incredibly bad for us. We probably would have had to have retreated this Mewtwo for the other one, but then we would have been able to build that up in a timely manner. The whole game would have gone downhill here. But even though we're going to take a circle circuit for 90, what I can do is side drive, of course, back on the follow-up turn. And now my opponent's going to be in a pretty tricky spot because they don't have anything else substantial set up on their bench. And I'm going to be able to just side drive on the follow-up turn. Even if they were able to somehow KO the Mewtwo, I still have another one for the follow-up. So we're looking pretty good here. This is like about as well as you can expect a Pikachu matchup to go when you're on the Mewtwo deck. Again, I really don't think you're favored here, but this game went like exactly well enough for us. And I think they actually just concede here, if I recall. Yep, they're going to concede at this point, because even at 60 HP, they don't have the ability to KO Mewtwo before I can side drive them again. Good stuff. Yeah, barely scraping by that one, honestly. Now, you can see I'm only just now getting the silver medal. I got the bronze medal from one of my other previous runs, but this was the first time I got up to 4 wins. I got up to 3 wins like 3 different times. It was getting a little frustrating, but okay, our final opponent is going to be on Pidgeot EX, which is a deck I've been wanting to try, actually. And I gotta say, just off the bat, this was a very, very well played game on my opponent's part. This was probably my favorite game of this run. One of the more back and forth ones. Alright, so here we open pretty well, honestly. We've got Mew, we've got Mewtwo, Pokeball, Mythical Slab, Gardevoir. That's definitely not bad. Pokeball is probably going to find Ralts. It's either that or the other Mewtwo, but obviously we would prefer to find the Ralts here. Drawing another Gardevoir. So maybe I should have slabbed before Pokeball, honestly, because that did take one more Psychic out of my deck. I think that was a misplay on my part. Putting the Prof's Research on bottom there is pretty brutal, honestly. That's about the worst one that could go on the bottom. Also, this Farfetch'd is a really scary first Pokemon to have sent out, because that's going to threaten me quite a bit. Like I said, just now, this deck definitely is not favored against aggressive strategies. And while Pidgeot isn't necessarily inherently aggressive, our opponent's Farfetch'd is very aggressive, being able to Leak Slap for 40. That's a bit of a problem. So we're going to have to hopefully manage with that. Still not finding a Ralts yet. Got to Psy-Shot the Farfetch'd here. Opponent played Druddigon last turn. At the beginning of this game, like at this point when I was actually playing the game, I was like, I wish I was dealing with this Druddigon rather than the Farfetch'd. But I'll say, in the long run, I'm actually glad I did not have to deal with this Druddigon. As the first starting Pokemon for the opponent. Alright, they're going to put an energy on the Pidgey, Leak Slap again. So, I can KO this Farfetch'd before it can KO the Mew. There we go. Finally, the second slab finds our Ralts, so we can get this going a little bit. I'm going to start getting one of my Mewtwo's going here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Psy-Shot the Farfetch'd. They're going to Leak Slap me down to 10. And then next turn, I'm going to retreat Mew into Mewtwo. That way, they don't get like a free KO. Because I could Psy-Shot the Farfetch'd back and just KO it with Mew. But then I have a 10 HP Mew, and I'm just giving my opponent, like, I'm literally just handing them 2 points for free, right? Definitely don't need to be doing that. Having a full bench against Pidgeot is slightly concerning. I think maybe... Well, I'm trying to remember. They led with Pidgey, right? Yeah, they did. So I probably shouldn't have played the second Mewtwo. That was probably a misplay on my part. That actually definitely was a misplay on my part. But at the same time, even a full power Scattering Cyclone is 140, so it can't one-shot Mewtwo, which is nice. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to retreat. I'll just retreat for the retreat cost. See, that's another thing, too. Like, It's nice to have the option to leaf and retreat Mewtwo or Gardevoir for free. Gardevoir if it gets caught by like a Sabrina or something. But again, the supporter count in this deck is kind of high. I also am kind of thinking of replacing at least one leaf with an X speed. Maybe. Anyway, they're going to bring in their Pidgeotto, which kind of confirms to me that they're going to be able to go into Pidgeot here. Yep, there it is. Now, again, that is definitely annoying, but at the very least, like I said, cannot one-shot the Mewtwo EX here. Does leave it at 10, though. So I think what I might end up doing here, because I can have Gardevoir online next turn, I think what I might end up doing here is just leaving my Mewtwo in, and then side driving the Pidgeot back, and then if they really want to leave in Pidgeot, they can, I'll just KO it back. That was kind of my thought process, but then they dropped another Farfetch, which actually complicates things, because now they can swap out Pidgeot for the Farfetch and just KO my Mewtwo back that way. In spite of that, I think I am just going to go with my original plan and side drive this Pidgeot anyway, because I can't, like, because that's really the only option I have still. I can't swap in my full HP Mewtwo and then set up a Psychic Sphere and Psychic Sphere it, because then that Mewtwo gets hit by Scattering Cyclone, and now they're both at 10 HP, and then I have a real problem, right? Yeah, so they're thinking here. Again, if they want to leave in the Pidgeot and Scattering Cyclone, that would be fine, but no, they're going to swap in the Farfetch. Oh, this Farfetch'd. But there is a little bit of a silver lining here. I can swap in my full HP Mewtwo, set it up the Psychic Sphere, and I do actually have the Giovanni in hand, meaning that I can one-shot this Farfetch'd, and I don't have to... Because otherwise what would have happened here, right, is... Like, let's say I didn't have Giovanni. I would have had to have Psychic Sphered the Farfetch, leave it at 10, they Leak Slap it back, then what? I KO the Farfetch, they bring in Pidgeot, and then KO my Mewtwo? Yeah, that would have cost me the game here. This Giovanni was the game-winning card. I will definitely tell you that for sure. Being able to one-shot this Farfetch'd. Yeah, the Farfetch'd, again, was like the most annoying part of this matchup in particular. It put in a lot of work. They both put in a lot of work. But we're in a much better spot now, because now, yeah, they bring in Pidgeot EX, and they can Scattering Cyclone me down to 10, but they're only at 20, so... And if they want to bring in Druddigon, that's also fine. I'll just side drive one-shot it and win. That's the other reason why KOing the Farfetch there was so good, was getting that extra point. That actually did matter here. I was a little bit scared of Giovanni. Actually, both times Scattering Cyclone threatened me, I was scared of Giovanni. Oh, and this Sabrina could have ended badly, too. If I had anything other than Mewtwo. Actually, wait, they threw there! That was a throw! They should have Sabrina and not even played Flute. Or Sabrina and then Flute. Because then I would have had to have brought in Gardevoir. And even without the Flute... Oh, they could have one-shot the Gardevoir. I didn't even realize that till just now. Oh, wow. Dang. Well, that panned out for me then. Holy. But there it is. There is our run. And there we get our 5-win streak. Golden Emblem. Emblem, not ribbon. That's what they're called. So... thank you for watching these games. Thank you for supporting the channel. We're just about at YouTube partnership, which is awesome. If you want to subscribe and or check out our past uploads, I have a deck profile up on this channel for just about every single deck in the game. We got more to come with the new set coming up here, so definitely stay tuned. But for now, this is Hexlex, and I'm going to be signing out. So I hope that each and every one of you have a fantastic day.